Hey guys, welcome back to Flicks to Us. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nick. This is my mom, Jen.
Hi, guys.
We did it, you guys. We watched every single Bond film.
We did 25 plus those two
like non non-canon
one
ones.
for sure, anything.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, yeah,
non-canon.
We did 27
so,
Bond films
from stretching from like 1961 to 2021.
Yeah. Wow.
So 60 years of cinema.
And you know what? I never thought I'd watch Bond movies. I've never seen any of them before. You had seen the one.
I went into this only having seen Casino Royale, which I really loved. It was a cool action spy
But
flick.
I was never going to watch any Bond movies. And I mean, some of them were, of course, ridiculous. Some of the things. But I found myself looking forward to each week to...
I did too.
What's happening now?
Yeah, I mean, as time went on, technology went on, the stunts got bigger, there's special effects became a thing, in the 80s and whatnot, and there was just such a charm about them.
There is, well, for the Bonds to change too, right? To see, so it'd be like, okay, we've done the ones with Sean Connery, and now let's see how the next guy does, and the next guy, and they're all so different, right?
Seeing their,
I mean, like we said,
their take on the character,
and like we said, some were like Craig was very intense, and where Roger Moore was more lighthearted,
the most kind of laid back, if not maybe not laid back, but more there's more comedic moments with his Bond.
So what are we doing today?
So we are going to kind of take a look back at the series. We're going to discuss our favorite elements, songs, villains. We sort of ranked our
top 5 in each of our categories.
Yep, the ones that kind of spoke to us the most, that we enjoyed the most, and then for each category, there's honorable mentions, because 25 films, all the various songs and actors and everything involved. There's so much that we liked, some that we disliked, but these are kind of going to be our top the ones we enjoyed the most, the ones that kind of impacted us the most in terms of how much we enjoyed them, or how much
these are our opinion. So you guys let us know in the comments in our in the categories what you like the best, which ones.
Let us know if you agree with our listing each time, or if you disagree and whatnot. There's a lot of characters we left behind. We try to include.
If you disagree, be nice.
Yep, let's keep it civil. I will come down on you with the wrath of Mjolnir if there is any flaming and whatnot. But ultimately, we're here to celebrate, one of the grandest film franchises in history.
Yeah.
Because like some of you were saying when we were doing some of the older ones, like Sir Roger Moore, that back in the day, there was no like Marvel or Star Wars kind of as they are now. Right? James Bond was one of the few, or one of the only, film connected continuities, film series, the same sort of characters, the same events that were referenced, and so people could look forward to these movies and connect the events, and this is referencing this, and it was just and back in the day for spy stories, there was stuff Man from U.N.C.L.E., Mission Impossible. There was other stuff too, but overall I feel like James Bond really set the bar and the tone for what a spy story is. Whether you're doing a more spoof, or you're making fun of it, if you're subverting it by doing something different, or if you're honoring that tradition, or doing kind of this series kind of wrote that playbook.
Yes, absolutely.
In terms of what the types of characters you could have, and the say gadgets and whatnot, and
they had everything. They had everything from soup to nuts on every level.
They went to fucking outer space when the villain was trying to restart humanity. All the way down to just some guy trying to steal money from a bank. They had the whole range.
And the overall, it was all the same thing. It was people with too much money.
For the most part,
which, look, today hasn't changed any differently. People with too much money doing ridiculous things.
Ever since currency, and economics were invented, the worst, there have always been those without and those with. And those with try to make sure that they have it to the end of time. And whatnot.
And do every crazy thing they can,
Okay. So it's not going to be just us kind of talking throughout. I thought it'd be fun to kind of react to some videos, some stuff kind of honoring the franchise in general, some fun little kind of scenes and that, because I mean, it's one of Britain's most iconic exports, you could say. James Bond is such a British thing, the same way that America has superheroes like Superman and such. This is England, this is their sort of one of their most iconic and most even in some of the later movies, the MI6 building, the one that gets kind of blown up. I think at one point in time, or maybe still is, that was the actual MI6 headquarters.
Oh wow!
And I think I remember one of the movies, the actual the head of MI6 for whatever movie that was, said after all James Bond has done for Britain, it's the least we could do for him.
Oh, cool.
Letting it's just such a British part of their thing and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Long franchise. So like I say, I thought it'd be fun to kind of react to some videos about
Sure.
I sort of gathered up, just honoring the franchise and some fun moments and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So first up, we have James Bond 007 franchise. This is by Zurich 23M. I have long been a fan of their work. They do sort of like compilation videos for stuff like Game of Thrones and Vikings and Puss in Boots, and they always make it sort of meaningful to the franchise in question. They always pair up like quotes and images, make it like sort of emotional stuff and like very high quality work. So I'll put a link to their channel in the description below, as well as for this video and all the other videos that we're going to do. I'll put a link down to them. And yeah, let's kick it off.
James.
Money penny?
You're late as usual.
007. At last. Morning, sir. Oh, sit down, 007. Thank you, sir. What do you know about gold? What do you know about Moonraker? What do you know about a man called Scaramanga, 007? The man with the golden gun. Eyes only, 007. Operation Trove. Code name? Thunderball.
I want you to find Goldeneye.
Operation Undertow.
Find who took it, what they plan to do with it, and stop it.
If there's any chance of us getting a Lector, we simply must look into it. Are you suggesting the shuttle was hijacked in midair? That's for you to find out, 007.
Please return the equipment in one piece.
Do please try and return some of this equipment in
Every time.
Every time.
Well, there's not enough.
He has purpose.
So you live to die another day.
He will oppose. He brings violence and destruction.
Whoever she was must have scared the living daylights out of her.
Can I do something for you, Mr. Bond?
Welcome, Martin.
Shaken, not stirred. Perfect.
Well, that's quite a nice little nothing you're almost wearing. I approve.
What should I say to an invitation from a strange gentleman?
To this moment,
I should say yes.
and the moment yet to come.
Us?
I'm beginning to like you, Mr. Bond.
Call me James.
James Bond, who only has to make love to a woman and she starts to hear heavenly choir singing. She repents and immediately returns to the side of right and virtue.
Colonel London, I've made contact with the girl.
James. Oh, James. That's not what I call contact. James, I need you.
So does England.
James Bond. Charming, sophisticated secret agent.
James Bond, Her Majesty's loyal terrier, defender of the so-called faith.
Suddenly you've been persistent.
You have what the Greeks call thrasos. Guts.
Bond, the game is over.
You can't win.
I didn't think it would end like this.
We're not dead yet.
Yeah, he's about sharks and
Sharks.
lizards and oh my.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell, Blofeld.
Missed Mr. Bond. Did
Oh,
I?
that guy, yeah.
Yeah, Hugo Drax.
All those feathers and he still can't fly.
I gave orders that he should be killed. Why is he still alive?
Mr. Bond, you defy all my attempts to plan an amusing death for you.
I like how they've paired up to like the running and like the explosions and gunfights and whatnot.
All the different Bonds, yeah.
We know that.
Flying motorcycles.
Some incredible
Yeah.
stunts.
There was a lot of skiing in this series.
Skiing and swimming.
And scuba diving, yeah.
Ooh. Yep, and he gets like drugged or
Oh, yeah.
knocked out.
And it seems they were all part of one organization.
What the hell is this organization, Bond? How can they be everywhere and we know nothing about them?
This organization. You know what it's called?
Its name is Spectre.
Mr. Bond,
Yes?
this is Mr. Goldfinger.
My name is Scaramanga. Mr. Bond. Mr. Drax. Mr. Zorin, it's a great pleasure.
There's so much to discuss. So
Some very grandiose personalities
Yeah.
with the villains and
Yeah.
Mr. Bond.
James Bond.
Hello, James. Welcome. Welcome, James.
I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld. They told me you were assassinated in Hong Kong.
Yes, this is my second life.
You only live twice, Mr. Bond.
What do you intend to do with those diamonds?
An excellent question. And one which will be hanging on the lips of the world quite soon.
I intend to change the face of history
By destroying the world?
by creating a world. A new and beautiful world beneath the sea.
It's not just erasing bank records. It's everything on every computer in Greater London. A worldwide financial meltdown. And the West will shake with fear.
When I'm through, the whole world will know my name.
World domination. Same old dream.
Yeah,
We have
same
so
old
much
thing.
in common, Mr. Bond.
When I kill, it's on the specific orders of my government. And those I kill are themselves killers.
You get as much fulfillment out of killing as I do, so why don't you admit it?
I admit killing you would be a pleasure.
Come on, Bond. Get the hell off that rig.
And the cars.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Mr. Bond.
Goodbye, Mr. Bond.
Desolated Mr. Bond.
You having a failure.
Heartbroken, Mr. Drax.
Why can't you just be a good boy and die? You first.
Kill Bond. Now.
It's entering Earth's atmosphere. James, it's our last chance.
How many times he saved the world, eh?
Yes.
Take the shot.
I'm just a professional doing a job.
Take the bloody shot.
Me too.
Oopsie.
You'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. Governments change. The lies stay the same. You burn.
Yeah.
And now you want my help. We're both orphans, James.
Two survivors.
What do you expect? A bloody apology?
But where your parents had the luxury of dying in a climbing accident, mine survived the British betrayal and Stalin's execution squads.
This is what you made us.
You know the rules of
yeah.
the game. You've been playing it long enough.
I made my own choices.
It was the job we were chosen for.
We both have.
Maybe too long.
Gun.
Shot.
Heart.
Target.
Murder.
Employment.
Country. England.
How can you act like this? How can you be so cold? You used me. You used me as bait. You made love to me.
All the things I do for England. I might as well ask you if all the vodka martinis ever silenced the screams of all the men you've killed. That's what keeps me alive.
No. It's what keeps you alone.
What if you find forgiveness in the arms of all those willing women?
Look how well your charm works, James.
For all the dead ones you failed to protect.
They'll do anything for you, won't they?
Damn.
Look around you, James. Everything he touches seems to wither and die.
This is what's left of your world. Everything you ever stood for, everything you believed in, are ruined.
Sir, I have the honor to request you will accept my resignation, effective forthwith.
Resignation from what?
Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Today I've repeatedly heard how irrelevant my department has become. Why do we need agents? The 00 section, isn't it all rather quaint?
It's the future, and you're not.
Well, I
Ugh,
suppose I see a
that
different world than you do.
Moriarty.
And the truth
Yeah.
is that what I see frightens me.
This isn't over yet.
Get back as soon as you can. We need you. We're under attack. And you know we need you. I need 007.
Follow me. Are you ready to get back to work? With pleasure, M.
Who are you? Can I help you?
With pleasure.
Mister?
Mr.
Mr.
Bond. James Bond. For England, James? For England. Oh.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Make it quick.
Finish it.
Before setting out on revenge,
Finish it.
you first dig 2 graves.
007, sir.
I need you back.
I never left.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Oh, in there. Yeah.
Okay.
That was good. That was a real good wrap up. Yeah.
That was really
Perfect.
good. Yeah, like Zurich has always been really good at like making things like meaningful for the franchise that they're making videos for.
Yeah.
Like I love that section where I talked about like all the women that you've let down and you're always alone, and it showed like Tracy and Vesper and all these women who've died and his friends, and just the music, like just excellent, like pairing up the quotes with like the sort of appropriate like images and scenes.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what better, like, what a legacy for a character.
Oh yes, for sure, right?
So much,
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so now that that's out of the way, we will be starting with our favorite Bond songs. An iconic part of the franchise. Funny enough, didn't really start until Goldfinger. That they had like a song for each film, and a lot of notable singers. Have lent their voices to this.
Yeah.
All right, so number 5 pick would be Skyfall by Adele.
Yeah, that was nice one. I like that
probably
one. The newer one.
The best of Daniel Craig's movies. Like it just in terms of the songs. It was really good. And actually, I was reading up after we saw Skyfall because remember Adele had like throat surgery, or she had like her little. I think she sang Skyfall not long after that.
Oh, is that right?
Like recently after that, so it was just all the more impressive she could do that song.
No, that was a good one.
But yeah, Skyfall is a really good film, and obviously. Like 60 years of cinema, the editing and certain special effects are going to be better, but just I really love just the looks of all of Daniel Craig's songs and whatnot, just like the editing way it would come together.
The way they did the songs at the beginning.
They really did well with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was number 5. Number 4 pick is Goldfinger by Shirley Bassey.
Yeah.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch.
That's a good one.
The one that started it all.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
And Shirley Bassey, she did at least 2 or 3.
At least.
Yeah.
I want to say she did like
awesome voice.
Probably like a whole bunch. I remember it was one of Nancy Sinatra, one of her songs she did. I remember there was like some trouble recording that one, and at one point apparently she talked to the people recording and she said, "Are you sure you don't want Shirley Bassey?" Because that's like how
the Bond songs were
iconic she is to that franchise and all that. Yep, so number 3 pick is For Your Eyes Only.
For Your Eyes Only, Sheena Easton.
For your eyes only can see me.
It's one of my personal favorites. So yeah, it's just very, I don't know, I just like
it's just nice voice.
I love like the sound of it. It's just very like a little bit slower, more sort of thoughtful, and very like showing the kind of the underwater imagery, and that one's really good. Number 2 pick is Nobody Does It Better
Carly Simon.
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yes, yeah.
Nobody does it better.
That's an iconic one, I think, that one, for sure.
I love that song. I love the film. Just very, like, say, iconic and whatnot. And then, so we have a couple honorable mentions, because, I mean, 20 plus
before we say number 1,
20 plus films and songs, there's a lot that we like, some that we didn't like, we're not gonna be able to get to them all today, but honorable mentions, first up is No Time to Die by Billie Eilish.
There's just no time to die. I let it burn.
That was good.
I really like that one. I like the kind of like somber, sorrowful sort of tone it had
the film, right?
to suit that. Well, like at the beginning when he thinks that Madeline has betrayed him and he sends her away, and just like the anguish he feels. I love that one image because they're on like the clock sort of like arms or whatever, and she kind of like reaches out for him and then goes away. It's like a beautiful piece of imagery.
That
was really good. And then next honorable mention is Diamonds Are Forever.
Diamonds are forever.
Who sang that one?
That was
Shirley Bassey, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Because she sang
Shirley Bassey.
Not the majority, but like a lot of the like Connery through Roger Moore ones, I feel.
Yeah.
Next one up is one of my favorites, License to Kill.
Ooh, baby. Now you can depend on me to keep things.
That was another good sort of song, I feel.
Who sang that one?
That one was let me bring that down here.
Oh, that one was
it not sure.
Gladys Knight.
Yeah, there we go.
That was a good one.
Yeah, like we say, like ones that we really enjoyed but didn't quite make our sort of favorite quota.
Yeah, top 5. Yeah.
And that's for number 1. The song that kind of impacted us the most, the one that arguably is the most famous of them all, "Live and Let Die"
Live and Let Die, Paul McCartney. Yeah.
Say live and let die.
No, that's my absolute favorite there.
Probably the one that like people who don't even know Bond or know like songs or whatever, like that's like one song I feel like almost everyone will know.
Yeah. Let us know your top 5 of the songs.
Yes.
See if there are anything
a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
So like say, I mean, like, you know, Adele, Billie Eilish, you know, Shirley Bassey, there was Tina Turner, Duran Duran, Garbage,
which
very ironic name, very lovely voice.
Yeah.
But like just, you know, the songs are such an integral part of it too, and like just as much as the actors, the singers need to be acknowledged for their contributions, you know, to the program.
Yeah.
And next category up is what Bond film is not complete without the gadgets.
Gadgets. Yeah.
So this is our favorite kind of gadgets. I mean, you know, just a lot of notable and some goofier, some more serious items used over the years. The Daniel Craig ones didn't have as many kind of notable ones because they were going for the more like realistic.
Like he had, like we said, a couple of watches, maybe with awesome things.
Maybe some like touch tables in a car.
Yeah,
like they were going a little bit more realistic. I mean, like the new Q had that one line, you know, like what were you expecting, an exploding pen?
Yeah,
type of thing. So they were kind of tongue in cheek about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for our favorite gadgets, number 5, one of my personal favorites, the Ghetto Blaster.
Oh yeah,
from The Living Daylights.
Something we're making for the Americans.
Yeah.
Just for the sheer like gimmick nature of it. You know, just like Q, just like one guy like blasting, exploding a target. It's like something we're making for the Americans.
Yeah.
One of the most kind of gimmicky ones. And number 4 is the Golden Gun from The Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I love just the idea of like a gun that like you assemble from different parts, and it was just because like on Scaramanga, Christopher Lee, it was like what was it, like a cigarette case, like a pen, like 2 or 3 other things he just assembled into a gun, and he could just have it ready to like assassinate targets. It was just a neat idea for like a weapon, you know, and just the whole movie is named after it. So
great gadget. Yeah,
really good. Yeah. So number 3 would be the exploding pen from GoldenEye.
Oh yeah.
Don't say it.
The writing's on the wall, along with the rest of it.
That was a neat little thing. I love when Q was showing it to him, and then he sort of like tests it, whatever, and he's like, you know, don't say it, whatever. And then Bond says, "What? The writing's on the wall." And then Q says, "Along with the rest of him." And it comes in handy too in the climax because it blows up Trevelyan's compound. Remember, because Floop from Spike, he was the hacker, but he had that kind of nervous like habit where he would like click the pen.
Oh yeah,
and like you need to click like 3 times, so it's like, you know, the camera kind of zooms in. That was really good. And, like it, you know, impacts the plot in a sort of heavy way and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the pen, and then number 2 will be the briefcase from Russia with Love.
An ordinary tin of talcum powder. You move the catches to the side. If you do, the cartridge will explode.
Yeah.
Something that's very
that was a good one.
Very just like practical for a secret agent to have, because it has like a rifle inside, a knife that slots out of the side.
Yeah. Like
golden coins, whatever, and it has, remember it had that little like cartridge of like tear gas.
Yes.
If you didn't open it the correct way, it would. And they use it in the train fight. It's really say like something that every secret agent could use. Like not even say like laser pens or stuff like that. Whatever. It's just like any one out in the field can use
that
this.
Was the most fun, was watching them use the bad guy try and use things that we were waiting for that third click or whatever else,
tricking them into
doing
triggering
it.
Like the booby trap or whatever. That was really good. And then so some honorable mentions again. So many gadgets used in each of the films. There's at least like 5 or 6 per film. You know, a lot that we're probably forgetting, you know, probably a lot that you guys love. But first up, honorable mention would be the submarine car in The Spy Who Loved Me.
Sorry.
Seeing Roger Moore and Barbara Bach just kind of swimming around in this thing with like fins and such, and then when they drive up onto the beach,
he throws his fish out the window and everybody's watching them.
Everyone's like marveling at it.
That was pretty cool.
Such a neat idea.
Yeah.
And then our other honorable mention is the jetpack from the opening scene in Thunderball. Which is like, you know, that style of jetpack I think is like a legit thing that like say like the Navy or whoever has, but it uses like compressed air.
Oh.
And there was like one guy or one or two guys in the world who could actually like operate that thing. So that's like who's in the scene. They're not showing Connery's face. It was just such like a Thunderball is where we start to get kind of like bigger, more ridiculous, but like still enjoyable type thing. So like just seeing Bond, like say like pick out a guy or run onto the roof, and then all of a sudden there's a motherfucking jetpack and he escapes and the guys are shooting up at him.
Yeah.
And it's just like a fun visual overall.
Yeah.
Yep. And then our number one pick for best, or at least our favorite gadget, would be the Aston Martin from Goldfinger.
Yes.
You'll find a little red button and fire the passenger ejector seat. Whoosh.
Ejector seat? You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
That thing was awesome.
I mean, I'm sure Aston Martin as a company would have done quite well over the years, just a very high end and whatnot. But the fact that the Aston Martin is the James Bond car, really just kind of solidified its place in history.
Yeah.
And the fact that like it's so tricked out, it's got like machine guns, like oil slick, bulletproof kind of shield, and
everything.
There's other say tricked out cars over the years and whatnot, but like that's like kind of the first case of like a just tricked out spy car with like a red button, different switches and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's just such
we can't leave the gadget category without the Q's line every time.
Try to return the equipment in one piece.
Grow up.
007. Desmond Llewellyn was such a treasure.
So good.
I love just how exasperated he got. It's like, grow up, 007. Yeah. And just he was just sick of his bullshit.
And then they had John Cleese taking over for
one movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
as I learned from my predecessor, I never joke about my work.
Yeah.
So, very integral part of the franchise. I mean, it's kind of like having the Avengers without Iron Man, just like a key component to these films. It was,
but I did like the young guy, the new guy in the Daniel Craig ones. Yeah,
he was really good too. Yeah. I like when Daniel Craig's like, you must be joking with, and then he said, oh, do you object to one, Q whatever, and they said, no, I object to one that still has spots. Just so young. Yeah, he was really good. Yeah, like just a lot of fun gadgets over the years. I mean, like rocket cigarettes and laser watches. There was like a sonic like ring that kind of shattered glass, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And of course, there was a one from Live and Let Die that he used on Kananga. It was like a shark gun. Remember the one that made him blow up?
Yes.
Inflate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of fun stuff over the years. So, next up on our quota of sort of things to react to, this is the James Bond little snippet from the 2012 London Olympics.
Oh, right.
Yeah, with Daniel Craig.
Awesome.
And I feel like it's a little bit, not timely, but just, the fact that Queen Elizabeth has since passed on and whatnot. And like I say, James Bond is such a big British icon. And just, you had like, say, Rowan Atkinson, other great stars performing at the Olympics. And at the time, like 2012, I'm not even sure if I had seen Casino Royale. So I didn't fully appreciate how like big this was.
Okay.
To have like James Bond.
Same with me. I had never seen any Bond.
And like the Queen together and whatnot. But let's check out this little gem.
So was this done while Craig was still filming Bonds? Or after?
Well, let's see, 2012.
Oh, 2012. Oh,
that
he
was
still doing them then.
That was when Skyfall came out around that time.
Okay.
So kind of in the middle of his tenure. There he is. That sexy beast.
Yes, absolutely. There's the corgis. James. I'm gonna follow him.
James Bond. Wow.
It's the real Queen, right?
It is.
Yeah. Not an actress.
Nope.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
So cool of an idea.
He got to meet the actual Queen and everything.
I remember reading somewhere that she was like making fun of him kind of between shots or whatever. She was kind of a lot of fun to be with. Like, what a visual,
Yes.
Like, if Captain America escorted the president somewhere, that level of...
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have made for a thrilling Bond film where, like, someone's trying to, like, kill the Queen.
Yeah,
and you
right,
have to, like, protect her.
Yeah, they never did anything like that, eh? The royalty?
No, they mentioned, like, Windsor and whatnot, but...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember this part here.
Yeah. Because he has to do some Bond stuff, kind of, I think,
a little bit,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh! Queen just jumped up.
Burn him to ask all the way around the stadium.
There it is. Dun, 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 dun.
The Queen and James Bond parachuting in.
Yeah. That's such a neat idea.
Yes.
Oh, that was cute.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, like just, Queen for so long. She's, just such a iconic figure of the last like century.
Yeah, that's
and whatnot.
right.
So it was really cool to see Daniel Craig with her.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so next up is we will be ranking our favorite Bond girls. Another integral part of the franchise.
And there was such a difference in the Bond girls, right? Because there was some that did absolutely nothing.
Yes.
Except hide or whatever. And then there was some that did everything, like Michelle Yeoh and
there were some that, like, as the years went on, like this,
Halle Berry.
I'd say, like, attitudes changed, because, like, if you look at, say, like the earlier Connery ones, it's like, like the one scene where it's like, oh, just, man talk, he gives her a spank and sends her on her way type of thing.
Yeah.
But then as the years went on, people became more open to the idea of, like, a much more, say, like, active Bond girl and whatnot. Some were, like, just as capable as him in the
Women
fighting
agents
department.
Yeah.
And some were not, say, fighters, but they were, like, capable, and they helped, like, kind of contribute to the plot and whatnot.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of great actresses, that sort of lended their acting talents to this.
Yeah.
So our number 5 pick for our favorites would be Jinx, played by Halle Berry in Die Another Day.
She was great.
I can read your every move. Read this, bitch.
Yeah,
she was really
Halle
good.
Berry.
I love her. One of those people who just never ages.
Yeah.
She still looks amazing.
Yeah.
But
she actually did stuff.
Yes.
Right. She
was a lot of fun. I mean, looked gorgeous like all Bond girls, but like contributed to the plot, and there was even, I think, like talk of like a Jinx, like her own spinoff at one point. But then I guess that movie didn't do well, so it went nowhere. Yeah. But no, she did really good, and she had her own kind of tools, and even some say like one-liners to like just like Bond would have. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And then our number 4 pick is Wei Lin, played by Michelle Yeoh in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Badass.
Quite possibly the most badass, because of just being played by Michelle Yeoh, like the godmother of martial arts movies. Yeah, she was a lot of fun. Great. She was like a Chinese James Bond. Like, remember she was they're in like her sort of like headquarters thing, and they had like her own like a fan that could shoot spikes and all the different tools and whatnot.
That would have been neat to do a Bond from another angle that way, right? Another country or whatever. Yeah,
we got to say like some glimpses of, say, like other nations, or like more often than not like CIA American, but like they're like agents they would have in the field. And
yeah. Felix.
Oh, all versions of Felix.
He's not a Bond girl, but
no, just as beloved in James's heart.
Yeah, that's right.
So our number 3 pick is quite possibly one of the most significant, Tracy from On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
The toast is the bride and bridegroom, Mr. and Mrs. James Bond.
Tracy Bond.
Teresa DiVincenzo, or Mrs. James Bond.
Yeah.
Played by Diana Rigg.
Yeah, and that was the one when George Lazenby was.
Yeah, Diana Rigg did a really good job. And again, so like kind of capable, because she had a couple of fight scenes of her own, and just the fact that she's the only woman in all of history to have James Bond settle down.
Except for Madeline.
Except for but like for 98% of his life, she got to settle down, and it was because I think I remember reading that they were maybe thinking about, say, killing her off at the beginning of the next film. But then they decided to change, and kind of killed her off at the end of this one, or of like hers, and also say like it ended up George didn't return and whatnot, and just like seeing her referenced in various different films over the years was a very nice bit of kind of continuity, emotional.
Very rarely mentioned, but
and it was like Roger Moore and such be like, oh, let's move on from that. You can tell he's kind of affected and whatnot. So it was a really nice bit of it showed Bond was human underneath his sort of sophisticated, badass exterior.
Yeah.
And it was a nice way to kind of just like something to reference through the years. Like, say, like the Avengers, like, New York reference to all these movies.
Yeah.
That sort of version of things.
Yeah.
Very, very sad. Our number 2 pick is another sad one, Vesper Lind, played by Eva Green in Casino Royale.
So as charming as you are, Mr. Bond, I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed house.
You noticed?
Yeah.
You were quite, it was a lot of emotions in that one.
There was swearing involved, and then I had to take it back because.
Yeah, I mean,
she didn't want to.
I mean, she starts out as like having some really good like repartee with Daniel Craig, just sniping back and forth, and They had a lot of good moments, and I love that scene kind of after that one attack when she was kind of in the shower, kind of like just like trembling after the attack, and he sort of
held her,
comforted her.
Yeah.
That was a really nice, like, intimate scene that wasn't just like sex or anything.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, her kind of turn at the end, and it was one of the bigger reveals. And
yeah, a little bit of what happened with her went on in the other movies after, right?
She was Daniel Craig's Tracy, essentially, because she was the one who, not just who got away, but the one who, like, you know, affected him the most, and like he would say, like, never love again type of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, Ava Green did a really good job on that one. You know, just as devastating the second time for me, because I sort of had more context, and because I had Tracy on the mind.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of stuff there. And so some honorable mentions. One was Paloma, played by Ana de Armas in No Time to Die.
I love that scene. She you told me about that, how she came to be in that movie.
So her and Daniel Craig were starred together in that Knives Out movie.
Oh, right.
And I guess they worked together really well. And when they were making No Time to Die, Daniel Craig kind of like insisted that she be in the film.
Oh,
so that's why her scene is so self-contained. She's just like there for that sort of when he portrays Spectre.
Yeah.
She somehow manages to have a badass fight in that slinky
they had
kind of
the good chemistry together, the two of them. And
she was all say like bubbly and excited. She had like 3 weeks training and whatnot.
But like you said, an evening gown and everything, and just badass fight.
Stunning, but she held her own. And then it's like, oh, you know, this is my stop, and she's all happy-go-lucky and very kind of memorable part of that movie.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yep. And then another honorable mention is Anya Amasova, or Triple X.
When this mission is over, I will kill you.
Played by Barbara Bach. Barbara Bach.
But the second time that Barbara Bach, right?
Well, no, she was only in just the one.
Oh, just the one. I'm thinking of
Maud Adams.
Maud Adams. Yeah.
Barbara Bach. I cannot English. But she did really well. She was, I think, the first of, say, like, the badass kind of Bond girls.
True.
I love her introduction because, like, when like the Russians are calling their agent, we need to call Triple X, and it cuts to her and that guy she's with in bed.
Yeah.
And the phone rings, and then it's like, oh, it's the 70s. We think it's going to be the guy.
Right.
She, you know, reaches over, you know, Triple X. What's my assignment? Like, talk about subverting expectations back in those days.
That's right.
And, you know, she was just as capable and clever as Roger Moore's Bond. Like, she got one over on him a couple times.
Yeah.
And they worked really well together.
Yeah. They were good chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
Kind of a foreshadowing of things to come in terms of more, say, like, actual spy, you know, Bond girls.
Mm-hmm.
And, that just leaves our number one pick for our favorite Bond girl, Madeline Swan, in Spectre and No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Everything's good now. There's no one left to hurt us.
Yeah, Léa Seydoux did a really good job. She was good. She was really good in Spectre, but she didn't come in until about halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
I loved what they did with her character in No Time to Die.
Yes.
With showing more of her backstory, and she was in the film since from the beginning.
Yeah.
And she had kind of a whole like
child
arc.
this time. And,
yes, and just like finally Bond had a chance to say like settle down with someone again after being say wounded by Vesper and her betrayal.
Right.
And whatnot, and you know, not say like a spy or kick-ass, but just very capable, especially towards the end when she goes all mama bear, you know, when they're on that island, and just that final scene with her on the phone, on the radio with James is just so devastating. And then I just you know love how like, you know, Bond he gets to live on through his trap, and like I love how it ends with her saying, let me tell you the story of a man named James Bond.
Yeah,
and I like how they kind of close that chapter that way.
Now, you know, was she our favorite because of that whole thing, right? But
that definitely, you know, made an impact. I think we were talking about it in
her,
terms of like that movie and such, and like a, you know, I mean, like in terms of say like favorites, there's others that might be like get close to her, but I think just because of the sheer kind of like emotional weight of the story that she's involved in, I think that kind of catapults
well, and
her
they got a chance from the first movie she was in. And at the end of it, right, saying, no, that was the beginning of the next one where he thought she betrayed him. Right.
The last one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then it was very bittersweet, but I love how like he finally found the one, you know, so it's very kind of happy for him that way. But just like I said, Léa Seydoux. The only other thing I've seen her in was Grand Budapest Hotel. She had kind of a bit part. She's in a movie called Blue is the Warmest Color. So I think like a lesbian love story or whatever. But like she did really good in that last movie for like the emotional, the acting component and whatnot. Yeah, she did really good. And so the next kind of video is queued up here. Yeah, so just kind of like a fun little thing I found just in my search for different kind of, say Bond films and the scenes and whatnot. This is James Bond scene from SNL.
Oh.
This kind of more,
good. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Comedic, and it's got Daniel Craig. I mean, SNL is always really good with their parodies. And
it's Daniel Craig right in it. Okay.
I think one of the more famous things they did was like Celebrity Jeopardy, like Will Ferrell would lead, and I think an actor played, I can't remember his name, but he played Sean Connery.
Oh.
And remember he always feuded with Will Ferrell. It's like, I'll take famous titties for 800.
Oh, no.
And then Will Ferrell like, that's famous titles for 800 and stuff like that, where it sort of became mimetic like that. But just like James Bond, SNL, what could go wrong?
Where's your boss?
7 winner.
Really? I just rolled a 7. You, sir, you.
Paul's Bachelor Weekend.
You. I don't know why I never play craps. It's so exciting. So, okay, what do I do now?
That depends, Monsieur Bond.
The game now.
She's trying to be serious with the mission.
Yeah. Oh, got it. Vodka martini shaken. Oh, you know what? No. Can I get a vodka and Red Bull pint glass, please? Thank you.
Red Bull.
Simba, because I am the king of the jungle.
I love Daniel Craig.
Why don't you take a look at these old sneakers?
Oh, good God.
Just got you, snake eyes.
God.
It seems, Mr. Bond, your luck has run out.
He's a Spectre agent.
Well played, Bond.
Oh, jeez.
Firing into the air. The gun goes off. Oh, that was cute. It's fun seeing Daniel Craig like say cut loose when.
Yes, because he's so intense as Bond, right? There's no smiling and laughing. Well, I mean, sometimes it was Madeline, maybe, but.
And apart from say like the antics, like that was shot almost the same way that a Bond film would be. Like it looked almost like it.
Did.
And I love the music. Like she would lean in, the music, and then it's like, oh, give me a drink. Like it would just kind of cut out like that.
Yeah.
A lot of fun stuff there. But
okay, what's the next category?
Next ranking is our favorite Bond villains. Now, just a little kind of not caveat, but just there's a lot of villains. There's usually the people making the plans, the ones who are on the kind of the cover of the movie, and then there's like the henchmen, the people who do like the fighting and the grunt work and whatnot. Sometimes the person in charge is more popular or more interesting. Sometimes the henchman is more interesting. So we've divided this into two categories because if we're doing one entry per film, it would be a disservice to all these great characters and all these actors to do just like one, whatever. So first up is the masterminds. These are people making the plans. Sometimes the movie's named after them.
Yeah.
First up, our number 5 pick is Le Chiffre from Casino Royale.
Yeah. Do you believe in God, Mr. Le Chiffre?
No. I believe in a reasonable rate of return.
Played by Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
He was with me today. But no, really great actor. Just I love his sort of tick of like he weeps blood from the one eye.
Yes.
And just that whole like
something else.
Casino Royale is a neat film because it manages to make a card game really like tense all the way through.
Yeah.
And what's it like in between with the poisoning, the fight, and he's just a neat presence.
Well, and the difference between some of the villains for me was that like him was the intensity.
Yes.
And some of them were kind of comedic. A little bit over the, like the first Blofeld stuff, right? With the
some of those other actors and whatnot. But Le Chiffre was a really cool presence. I shared autograph I got from Mads Mikkelsen. It was really fun seeing him in person, and he's just always been an actor that I've really I always find him interesting over sort of project he's doing.
Yeah.
So number 4 pick then is Franz Sanchez in License to Kill, played by Robert Davi.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, I mean, it's that film is my favorite of Timothy Dalton's run. It's very 80s. We'll say like the cocaine
Very
and drug
80s,
smuggling is at the forefront.
Yeah.
And Bond, sort of like Miami Vice or that kind of fashion, like goes rogue, like to hell with the rules and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Robert Davi's a very good evil guy.
he's a fantastic villain actor.
Very intense.
He had a really cool like dark presence, because that's a dark film overall. I mean, Felix's wife is murdered on their wedding night, and he has his leg bitten off by a shark.
Yeah.
That's just the start.
Yeah.
And he was a really fun presence, and it just the fun death too, very memorable. I mean, being lit on fire.
Yes, yeah.
And I love how Bond did it with the lighter that Felix and his wife gave him.
That's right.
It really,
yes.
It was another really meaningful callback.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun that way. But number 3 pick is Ernst Stavro Blofeld, with the caveat because Blofeld was played by 7 people over the years, voices or otherwise.
Yeah.
Our pick is Telly Savalas as Blofeld in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
If my demands are not met, I shall proceed with the systematic extinction of whole species of cereals and livestock all over the world.
Personally, my favorite version of Blofeld is the one from Russia with Love and Thunderball, where he's just like a hidden face. With a voice, he's kind of at his most threatening and most effective there.
Yeah.
But in terms of the ones that we see, the ones that are present throughout the movie, Telly Savalas is kind of the sort of most effective, I feel.
Yeah. As much as you love Christoph Waltz.
I adore Christoph Waltz, and I loved his take on Blofeld. The biggest problem was he wasn't in either movie long enough to really make too much of an impression, which is a damn shame because he is such a talented actor. And I loved his take on the character, and I love how they made it personal in that regard with them being brothers, and had a lot of rich sort of material there to work with, but they didn't really carry through with it. But in terms of Blofelds that were there kind of through the movie and whatnot, like Telly Savalas, he's always, again, a good villain actor. Like we saw him in The Dirty Dozen as a psychopathic, misogynistic, crazy asshole.
Yeah.
He's just a really good presence, and also I read after we saw that film that for the Justice League or Superman animated show, whoever made the show or one of the animators based the appearance of Lex Luthor on Telly Savalas in that Bond film.
Oh wow.
Like a Bond or bald, not Bond, bald, sort of mastermind type thing. Yeah. And him and his cronies are the ones who killed Tracy.
Right.
At the end.
Yes.
So in terms of the Blofelds that kind of most wound their respective bonds, I think he's kind of up there. Yeah. So number 2 pick is Alec Trevelyan or 006.
James, I was always better.
Oh yeah, Sean Bean
in GoldenEye.
Yeah, that was that was another agent.
Yes.
Right? Because wasn't there one other film where there was another agent? One of the agents was
well there was one of our other picks, I believe, was another kind of agent, but that was one of the first times where it's he's one of Bond's deadliest enemies, because he's not
trained the same way.
Not only is he a fellow 00, he was his best friend.
Yeah.
And he goes evil and it's just and he's also we talked about through various movies, there's certain villains where say non-action, more thinkers or giving speeches, they had other people do the fighting.
Yeah.
Trevelyan was one of those who could go toe-to-toe with Bond.
Yeah, that's right.
And actually, when he sort of has kind of his final fight with James in that sort of satellite tower thingy, the fight that they have is probably my second favorite fight in the James Bond franchise after the fight with Red Grant in From Russia with Love. Just it's two guys of equal skill.
Yeah.
Just going at each other and such, and the really cool bits of soundtrack when they're kind of chasing and shooting at each other in the walkway.
Yeah.
And just I love that final line. It's for England, James? No, from me. Yeah. And it just drops him down. And in true Sean Bean fashion, he dies by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But no, really good performance. Just his evil twin, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then
honorable mentions.
Yep. So again, so many great characters, so many great villains.
A lot to choose from. Right?
Yeah. So first honorable mention is Elektra King from The World Is Not Enough.
When I realized my father wouldn't rescue me from the kidnappers, I knew I had to form another alliance.
Yeah. She
to
was.
date the only female villain in a Bond film, or main villain, I should say. But she was a really interesting character because at first she's an ally, her father's killed. Yeah. We know that she was kidnapped and abused, and there was she had to kill people to escape.
Yeah.
And
Stockholm syndrome.
Yes, as we discovered to Robert Carlyle, because she M, sort of gave the order not to pay ransom because they wanted to rescue her. So she blamed M and her father for abandoning her, and wound up falling in love with her captor.
Yeah.
And then going after M, just from like a psychological.
And Robert Carlyle was good too. He was
he was good.
Too, yeah.
She
outshone him, I think.
Yeah, because ultimately I think like he was sort of answering to her because he sort of fell in love with her and type thing.
Yeah.
But just from like a psychological character perspective, she was just so interesting because she was like someone who's tortured and like sick and trying to just lash out at the world. And it's legitimately sad when Bond has to put her down.
Yeah.
But just like the actress gave an interesting performance, just say reserved or usual Bond girl stuff at the beginning, and then after the turn, she's all arrogant and she tortures him.
Yeah,
and she's all
girl.
Yeah, and it was just again 60 years, 25 films, one female main villain in all of these, and she just for that alone she leaves an impression. But yeah, she was just really.
Who else was?
Really effective. And then, other honorable mention goes to Lucifer Safin, played by Rami Malek.
Oh, yes.
In No Time to Die.
Poisoned with heartbreak. Two heroes in a tragedy of our own making.
Really cool, creepy character design, especially with that mask.
Yeah.
That opera, like Phantom of the Opera type
and
mask.
he loved her, right? Because he saved her from the ice.
Because and
she was a child.
As far as villains go, he had a fairly sympathetic origin because her father massacred
Killed
his family.
his whole family. Yeah,
and he was disfigured from the poisons that were involved.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting that way. And Rami Malek, a very very good actor, very just interesting face and whatnot.
Well, and then what did we think of him being the one to take down Bond, right?
I mean, I really like what he did with the character, but kind of with Christoph Waltz as Blofeld, I like some of the later Daniel Craig ones, they didn't give the villains kind of enough time on screen, because usually it was half or 3/4 of the movie they're investigating, they're fighting minions, foiling plots, and then only kind of in the last third or quarter they bring in the main villain to give a speech or two and then kind of kill him off. So I really liked him as a character, and just when he finally kind of takes down Bond, and Rami Malek talks about just sort of how they're similar, they're both broken, and it's with that beautiful final sad Hans Zimmer soundtrack playing.
Yes.
And it's a really good scene. I just wish he had been in the movie more, because he would have, because he makes his presence known at the beginning in that opening scene in Madeline's flashback.
Yeah.
By going after her and the ice and that whole scene.
Yes.
And whatnot, but it's just he didn't have enough time to shine.
No.
That's why he's sort of not quite in our top five.
Our top five, yeah.
But that just leaves our number one pick for top, villain overall, and that spot belongs to Raul Silva, played by Javier Bardem in Skyfall.
Look upon your work, Mala.
The one who wanted to do M in.
Yes, that was the kind of the other big one of used to be an agent and then sort of turned.
Right.
And
yes.
In his case, traded for other agents to the Chinese and tortured relentlessly, tried to kill himself with cyanide, and it melted his ass from the inside.
Oh.
That, when he took that plate denture thing out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That was one of the most horrific things I've ever seen for a spy film. Because his cheek was all sunken and his
eye went
teeth
down and
it was very effective body horror for a spy film. And, Javier Bardem is a great actor.
And then and when they were in the church, remember? And
yes,
he's like, we'll do it together. He wanted to kill
himself and then M or whatever.
Yeah.
And I also love his whole intro scene. Daniel Craig tied to a chair, and then just one sort of shot of the whole big kind of server room. And then Javier Bardem comes out of the elevator and tells that story of the rats in his childhood on the island. But it's a whole 2-3 minute scene of him just walking towards Daniel Craig, and the camera doesn't move, and he comes in from the distance.
Yeah.
He's just a really effective character, a really effective villain.
Yeah.
And one of the most intimidating ones too. Just physical presence. He's very when he goes after M, he's he's just so good.
Yes.
Very, very memorable. Part of what made that film so great was him as a villain,
Exactly, I agree. Yeah,
stuff
totally
just stuff Mommy was very bad, and just the way he would kind of talk. And I love that one line when at the end of after the house is blown up, he's like, all this shooting and running around, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
He's all just done with all of it.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun that way.
Yeah.
And now part 2 of our villains category. This is henchmen. So these are the people who kind of are sent out in the field, do the grunt work. They're sort of the people kind of standing behind the villain. You know,
usually
the ones,
the odd one.
yeah, as it were. Yeah. And like I say, sometimes they're more interesting than the people they're working for. You know, by virtue of having some sort of gimmick, like a hat or teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, our number 5 pick is Mr. Hinks in Spectre, played by Dave Bautista.
Oh yes, right. He was bad.
Yes,
and he just kept coming.
And he never
he didn't say anything.
Not until the end.
Yeah.
He had one word, like shit.
Yeah.
And then he's out of the train.
Yeah.
But now, like, you know, he didn't say a word. I'm always a fan of silent kind of assassin characters. I mean, like the twins from Breaking Bad are a good example. And he was kind of a throwback, I feel, to Odd Job.
Yeah.
His sort of overall stature, because like a lot, you know, some say henchmen are more say like lithe female types, or some are more like say shooting types. This is like a big bruiser, like you know, whenever like Bond like punched him, it was like trying to hit a solid wall of muscle, and this is a very kind of good physical presence.
Yeah.
Number 4. Number 4, we have Donald quote Red Grant from Russia with Love, played by Robert Shaw.
Yes.
The first one won't kill you. Not the second. Not even the third. Not till you crawl over here and you kiss my foot.
He was the, you know, one of the most like archetypal Bond sort of villains, because like if you remember, like several henchmen in other movies were say like blonde, almost like Aryan looking hitmen who are kind of like Bond's like equal.
Yeah.
But he was the like one of the first ones where it's like, you know, he's like a highly trained assassin. He sort of shadowed Bond throughout the whole thing. You know, saved his life a couple times just because he was manipulating him.
Yes.
And then they had that whole awesome fight on the train.
Yeah.
And whatnot, and you know, he got hit with the tear gas, and just like that fight scene in the train is, you know, on the same level as say like something from like The Winter Soldier in terms of like fight choreography, because it's just like a silent, no music, just like no holds barred, like they're trying to kill each other, just like kicking and moving, and it feels very claustrophobic. And then he finally kills him by strangling him with his own garrote watch.
Yes,
he was just a very effective like presence. In the film. So our number 3 spot goes to Xenia Onatop.
The pleasure will be all mine.
Played by Famke Janssen.
Oh, she was relentless.
GoldenEye.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. It was one of her, I think, more notable, or at least one of her first like film roles.
Oh yeah,
she was,
I mean, she did a great job.
She was so like
just
like you know, she would like gun down a whole room of people and be like moaning and like pleasure the whole time. And
she loved it. Oh yeah,
and then just the whole gimmick of her say like squeezing people to death with her thighs and fighting with Bond. And I love when he finally kills her in the jungle, like with the helicopter attached with the cord, and she's like pulled and crushed against that tree. And then I think he tells like, you know, the girl that it's like, oh, she always did love a good squeeze or something. Very, very notable you know, presence, just like pure psychopath, but she's entertaining to watch.
Loved it. She loved it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then our number 2 pick is probably a favorite of a lot of you guys. It is Jaws.
Oh yeah,
played by Richard Kiel in both The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker, one of the first kind of recurring characters. But just the sheer gimmick of his teeth, you know, like biting like metal cables and locks.
And we're reading some things about him. He couldn't keep those in for very long. And
I mean, anyone who's ever had like a dental mold taken, you know, can relate. Like he had to have those on for like whole like shoots and whatnot.
Yeah.
And just like very, again, like the guy was huge.
Yeah.
Like Richard Kiel was a big guy.
And we loved the best that he fell in love in the end.
In Moonraker, all of a sudden he meets this like Bavarian girl with pigtails and whatnot, and he just falls in love and helps Bond at the end. And
that was so extra.
So random.
They've never let one of the henchmen
And I love that, like, as like part of the space station after it explodes is like floating through space. It's just like them with like champagne. They're like, well, here's to us.
Yeah.
Like the first time he
and
speaks.
Then it blew up. Yeah.
And it's just such a neat character. And it's like, you know, like say ridiculous, the idea of just like metal teeth biting through things, but it's just very endearing, I feel.
Yeah, it went with the whole thing. It went
and just very imposing presence, and it was just a very surprisingly sweet.
Yeah, that's right. Honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. First one is Mayday, played by Grace Jones in A View to a Kill.
Yeah.
You know, Grace Jones, very striking woman.
Badass too.
She was really, and it was neat because like when we watched that movie, there was one scene where for like a split second we saw like Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
And because he, I was reading, he was in there because he was dating Grace Jones at the time.
Right.
And I think the actor they had for whatever goon that was like unavailable, so he just kind of filled in, and that's like the start of his film career.
Oh wow! Yeah.
For Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
It was kind of neat.
That's quite a couple, eh? Dolph
Yes.
Lundgren and Grace Jones. Wow.
And simultaneously, she's one of like the Bond girls in that film because he does hook up with her, but then she's also mainly like the henchman for the villain.
Yeah.
And then he, leaves her for dead at the end, and she, she's like, "Oh, I thought that creep loved me." And, and then she ends up like blowing up at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame we didn't get more, say, time with her character in that because she just, and then her outfits too were very like,
well,
like any random scene she looked ready for like a photo shoot.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Just very, very, interesting character that way. Yeah, so then the other honorable mention goes to Dario, played by a very young, very attractive / creepy Benicio del Toro in License to Kill.
Yes.
You're dead.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
It was very surprising to see him there, but he was a very very attractive, very sort of pretty boy features, but like there's just something about him that he had a dangerous look to him.
Oh yeah.
Like there was that one scene when he's fighting Bond towards the end when his hair is all kind of messed up and there's like one eye is bloody, very just like with a knife. You look all psychotic and 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 I remember like was it Bond or maybe the girl, but like remember he gets like he falls down into that thing and gets like chopped into like bits and whatnot. But like I think Benicio was just like in his like early mid-20s when he was in that. So like he was super young.
We saw a few guys in the background of these movies, right? That
Charles freaking Dance was in there in like a non-speaking role. You know, just,
right.
like it's just great. Like all these great actors like having like say bit parts in a Bond film. Like that was the huge thing. When now it's like these guys are like household names. And it's like, oh, by the way, I was in there for
that's
5
right.
minutes.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then our number one pick for henchman goes to Odd Job from Goldfinger. Probably the most famous.
In the first spot. Yeah.
Who throws a hat? Honestly.
Yeah, that's
just his sort of gimmick.
And he didn't speak, did he?
He all the extent of his verbiage was aha when he found like a golf ball. But other than that, he didn't say a goddamn word.
Yeah.
But just like his, the actor I believe was like a wrestler in real life, so very just like stout, had built like a brick shit house. The physique and fun, seeing Sean Connery try and go up against him. And all of his moves were like just nope, nothing. Like and it was like his hat could cut through anything, which was kind of fun to see. And personally, because like Austin Powers spoofed him with Random Task in the first one, which I think I like that name better than Odd Job.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like Random Task sounds a bit I don't know, cooler or whatever, but very legendary role. I'm just can't remember the actor's name offhand, but he did really good. He always had that grin on his face. Remember he was like like whenever Bond tried to like punch or hit him and it did nothing, he'd be like and they finally got electrocuted in the sort of cage in Fort Knox.
Oh, right.
Like just kind of the the go-to idea of like a Bond villain has this minion who Bond has to fight, like just very just well-known beloved role and whatnot. But it's like, who throws a shoe? Honestly. And whatnot. But so that's it for the henchmen and the various villains. Like a lot of great actors, a lot of great kind of performances, a lot of great gimmicks. That's why we kind of divided up in two. And another kind of video got lined up here. With this is all of the James Bond actors, their variations of Bond, James Bond. Just each actor
before we hit our favorite Bond our
final sort of
movie
categories and whatnot. Each actor brings their own certain charm and whatnot to it. So it's kind of fun just to see a snippet of what it's been like over the years.
Yeah.
So let's check it out.
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond. Good morning. My name's Bond. James Bond. Oh, Draco.
Yes, who is it?
Bond. James Bond.
Thank God, James.
Who are you?
My name is Bond.
Those eyebrows.
James Bond.
Yeah.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Good evening. My name is Bond. James Bond. My name's Bond. James Bond.
An unexpected honor, Mr. Bond.
My name is Bond. James Bond. Good afternoon.
Can I help you?
Yes, my name is Bond. James Bond. I'm looking for Dr. Goodhead. My name is Bond. James Bond.
Aris Christa.
Bond. James Bond. Mr. Bond.
He always seemed like the most kind of fun, laid-back version of
Well, actually,
Bond.
Captain, I'm with the British Secret Service. The name is Bond. James Bond. My real name is Bond. James Bond. You must take my word for it.
Who are you?
Bond, James Bond.
Thank you, Mr.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
This is the new banker, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
So you're a British spy. Do you have a name?
My name's Bond.
Christmas Jones.
Yeah, we didn't mention
And
her
Mr.
because
Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond.
Oh.
James Bond.
Bond. I love how they say that for the end of his first film.
Bond. James Bond.
Name?
Bond. James Bond.
That's my favorite of the whole bunch.
Yeah.
Like I love when like movies find a way to like make it cute. You know, for the quote, like it's like, oh, just let's do a bit of different, or it's like, my name's Bond. Shut up, or like, interrupt or whatever.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so next category is drum roll, please. Favorite Bond actor.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, Mom and I have separate rankings for this one. Many talented men have played, the debonair gentleman spy over the years. They've all done a good job overall. Yeah. It's more just like, which one do you kind of prefer more?
Right, exactly.
There's been no like,
because they played them all differently, right? There was intensity, there was more sort of
levity.
Yeah.
There's been no say like bad performance.
No.
Even in say bad films, they still do pretty good.
Yeah.
So, do you want to start off with your ranking? So, what do you got for yours?
Okay, so number 5, I've got Timothy Dalton.
I need to use your phone. Should call you back.
It's fine, just fine for me. Number 4 was Sean Connery.
I think you got the point.
Number 3 was Pierce Brosnan.
They all said the pen was mightier than the sword. Thanks to me, they were right.
Number 2 was Daniel Craig.
Oh, and the valet ticket.
And my number 1 was Roger Moore.
Wonderful for poison pen letters.
Pay attention, 007.
I like Roger Moore the best.
Yeah.
But because he was, well, like we said, different, right? Like, he was a little more, I don't know, lighthearted, lighter.
Yeah, the most like laid back of all the performances, I feel.
And Daniel Craig, I loved him, but he was very intense, so that's why I have him as second for me, as my second Bond.
And then, of course, George,
George Lazenby, he was...
Thank you, Cubit. This time I've got the gadgets. I know how to use them.
He's the honorable mention guy. He's number 6.
I mean, just through happenstance of fate, I know that, like, his agent kind of gave him the wrong advice, and it sort of led to him kind of rubbing people the wrong way. He only had the one film, which is kind of, just unfortunate he didn't get more of a chance to kind of prove himself.
But at least he's, he's in among this group of fine actors, right?
Yeah, very well-established actors and whatnot.
What was your top?
My ranking is, George Lazenby, number 6.
This never happened to the other fella.
By virtue of just having one film, very little kind of material to go off of. He did fine. I do love how he is the one who gets to be, say, like with Tracy, and how when she's killed, that's one of the first times we ever see Bond get like emotional over something.
Yeah.
And he was almost to the point of tears. So I love that he gets to be the one to do that. My number 5 pick is Roger Moore.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
That's putting it mildly, 007.
A lot of fun, very laid back, seems like the most sort of fun to hang out with of all of them. The one with the most movies anyway, forms the bulk of the filmography.
Yeah, true, yeah.
My number 4 pick is Sean Connery, the guy who...
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
Set the tone for Bond, who, you know, like every other performance is either based on his or different from his. He sort of, you know, was the, you know, that's like his claim to fame. You know, like Sean Connery was a superstar, partly because, you know, he was like a sex symbol of the 60s, and he was James Bond. You know,
true.
First man to utter the words.
Yeah.
My number 3 pick is Pierce Brosnan.
The world is not enough.
Foolish sentiment.
Family motto.
You know, really, like, Pierce Brosnan just oozes charm and you know, just
he did
through
great.
room.
I was skeptical about him because I've only seen Pierce Brosnan in things since this,
like Mamma Mia and whatnot.
Really, Pierce Brosnan, but it's like, no, he did a hell of a job.
He did really good. Yeah. I mean, you know, GoldenEye is a really solid film, and even like his later films, which didn't do as well, it was still like a lot of fun seeing him play the part, because he just effortlessly seemed to move through a scene.
Yeah.
And then after that, my number 2 pick is Timothy Dalton.
Problem solver.
I'm more of a problem eliminator.
He, kind of like with George, he didn't really have a chance to shine as much as the others. He just had 2 films. But like everything, like Timothy Dalton's a great actor. I love him. Everything that Daniel Craig did with his Bond, like more, let's say, gritty, action heavy, Timothy Dalton did first back in the 80s and whatever. And it was just through, say, like, not legal kind of jumbles or anything, but just like through kind of just happenstance, it worked out that he only did the 2 films. Then he was kind of like not interested anymore. But like in you know, he was doing something fresh with Bond, like being like a gritty, like assassin type. License to Kill is a really great film, like, you know, Tale of Revenge and whatnot. And then my number 1 pick is Daniel Craig.
Where the hell have you been?
Enjoying death. 007 reporting for duty.
Yeah.
He, I mean, there's a bit of recency bias there. I'm sort of most familiar with his films. I can describe most of them in good detail.
Yeah.
But like he, like you say, he was intense. Like I think one of you guys said he's the most sort of believable as someone who looks like he could kill people for the government.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And whatnot. But he was really good. I love how like he was like intense in action and whatnot, but also he displayed a lot of really good, say, like emotion and whatnot. Like he, like with like Vesper's betrayal, how deep that wounded him, and all the stuff with Madeline and everything. And he was just like, and that whole, like, Daniel Craig, one of his finest performances was just that whole final scene when he's talking to Madeline, talking about their daughter, how much he loves her and whatnot, and he can't be with them, and saying, you know, you have all the time in the world, just with the music playing, like just with the like the tears. It's a, you know, very moving scene that makes the movie.
Yes.
And, you know, just like he kind of like has bits of what all the other guys have, like the action, the sort of the suave, you know, sophistication.
Yes, absolutely.
And then some of the emotion that George kind of had at the end of his. He just kind of was the full package for me.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they all did great for varying reasons. Like I say, it just comes down to which one do you like the best.
That's just it, right?
You know, and you know, let us know kind of who your favorite Bond
That's
is.
right.
You know, I mean, like a lot of people, different generations and whatnot. Do you say like your first Bond might have been Connery or Pierce Brosnan or whatnot? You know, and whatnot. So it's just kind of interesting from that standpoint.
Yeah.
And now, kind of like with the Oscars, saving the sort of best for last, our favorite Bond films.
Yeah, and we did agree on these. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of films, a lot of, you know, some great, some really good, some
terrible,
forgettable, and terrible.
We didn't, and just to let everybody know, we didn't add those 2 extra Bond
Casino
movies
Royale
into the ratings.
and Never Say Never Again.
Well, the
I mean,
Casino Royale, that was from 1967. Yeah.
Never Say Never Again was like 81 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like if you love those movies, more power to you. You know, I'm sure there are others who find their merits.
Yeah.
But personally, for Mom and I, we didn't really care for them as much. Never Say Never Again. It wasn't like a bad movie. It was just like a dull movie.
Connery,
I found.
Yeah, he was wasted. It was like sort of a shining star in the middle of a pile of dull stuff. Yeah,
just it wasn't really interesting for any of it.
And the other one was just ridiculous.
It was like the worst of like the 60s, like excess, you know, just like everyone was on drugs, you know, not having a good result.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you know, Bond films, you know, a lot of great material here. So our number 5 pick is Casino Royale.
Whatever is left of me. Whatever I am. I'm yours.
Daniel Craig's
opener. Casino Royale. Yeah.
A really, you know, like from Pierce Brosnan's last to this one, it's like night and day. Such a stark, like you know, like bad film going into a really great film to kick off a new actor's run, you know, for like a new generation. You know, 2006, you know, stuff with like say cell phones, and it was like grittier, more action heavy. There was say like less gadgets and goofiness, but it was just a really good showcase for what he could do with the role.
Yeah.
You know, like Lashif and Vesper, other great characters, Mathis.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Yeah, really, really good. So our number 4 pick is The Spy Who Loved Me.
A British agent in love with a Russian agent.
Your time's running out, Stromberg.
Yours too, Mr. Bond. Yours too.
Roger Moore is best, I believe.
Yeah.
With Barbara Bach, first time
I like
like
that one.
Jaws showed up. You know, so a great song, really great set with that whole. I think they call it like Atlantis, that whole sort of like ocean based that he kind of destroys at the end, just like like you know, among other things, like the really great set design for a lot of these films.
Yes.
Like the volcano layers, the submarines, you know, the ships and whatnot.
That's just it. We could have gone on with categories, right? As far as locations and
I mean, you know,
sets.
Special shout out to Ken Adams, you know, the production like supervisor, like the guy who designed most of those like big epic sets.
Yeah.
And you know, like and in the earlier movies, they when they had like not as much of a budget, he made it look like sort of like grand enough that like people could sort of buy it.
Yeah.
And you know, he's part of what made that franchise so memorable for like those final battles and whatnot. And yeah. So then our number 3 pick is, drum roll please, No Time to Die.
Oh, yeah.
When her secret finds its way out, it'll be the death of him. What is it?
You don't know what this is.
Daniel Craig's last one.
That one.
Probably.
I can't believe they killed Bond off.
I know.
It's like he always gets out of everything.
Just have like a post credit scene. He's just eating shawarma with the Avengers. He's fine. But now, like, you know, very emotional film. You know, the longest one I think in terms of runtime. But just like really great. You know, with like say Madeline and Léa Seydoux, her performance was great. You know, like Rami Malek, for what little screen time he had, was a really cool villain. I still listen to some of that final soundtrack when Bond when the missiles hit the island. Just a really great moving, you know, piece.
Yes,
and it's
the music,
it's a hell of a send off for a really great actor.
Right. Yeah.
Our number 2 pick is GoldenEye.
United Artists brings you, trust me, James Bond. Why can't you just be a good boy and die?
Pierce Brosnan's first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, another really great one. I mean, his best, you know, just we had Sean Bean, you know, he had a lot of good. I really love the soundtrack when he and Sean Bean, when 006 and 007 are fighting. It's like really great music there. Yeah. Tina Turner did a good song. You know, we had Famke Janssen. We had a really cool final battle in that like satellite facility where it all falls on Sean Bean. Yeah, another really good one there.
Yeah.
And then some honorable mentions. First up is From Russia with Love.
James Bond, that notorious, amazing Dr. No secret agent, is back, and half the world is out to kill him.
One of my probably my favorite of Connery's run, because like Dr. No, like the first one wasn't a bad film, but it was boring.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
From Russia with Love, such an improvement.
Oh yeah, picked right up. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, like the first time we truly see Spectre when Blofeld is there first time. We have you know, Kronstein and, you know, Rosa Klebb and Red Grant, you know, like Spectre's at its like most effective and deadly in that film.
They got it more right on that one than
awesome train fight and just like fired on all cylinders. Really and like in terms like I'm more of a fan of say like the more say like serious or realistic Bond plots. And that's like a straightforward like Cold War thing. Like they are playing Russia and the UK against each other, like spy against spy, manipulating countries and whatnot. It's really fun. Other honorable mention goes to Goldfinger.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
The one that probably a lot of you as they were saying like favorite of Connery's run, the one that kind of like established the formula the most was say, like the girls, the gadgets. First one to have a Bond song. Yeah. You know, like
didn't one of them die all covered in gold?
Yes. Yeah. So that was like not Jill or there was but like the girl like you know like just covered in gold. You know, like this is such a striking visual. And Odd Job and you know Gert Frobe did really great as Goldfinger.
Yeah.
You know, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. You know, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, Pussy Galore, who's actually one of the more notable Bond girls because she's say like capable. She knows like martial arts and whatnot. She worked with the villain before being redeemed. But yeah, like I said, the one that sort of is like sets the template for what a Bond film should do, I think.
Right. True. Yes.
Yeah. And then that just leaves our number one pick, our personal favorite, Skyfall.
Yes, Skyfall was the best.
Daniel
I
Craig,
think, out of all.
his best, I think, overall.
Yeah.
She sent you after me knowing you're not ready, knowing you would likely die. Mommy was very bad. The two survivors, this is what she made us.
You know, you got...
Well, not just his best. The best.
Yeah, it's like the one that, you know, left the biggest sort of impact on us. I mean, you got a killer song by Adele. You know, you got Javier Bardem playing a fantastic villain. Judi Dench gets a great performance in that one.
Yes, she
and
was
just
great.
was a very emotional ending for her. Daniel Craig as Bond gets pushed to kind of his limit, just like going back to his origins and
finding out about that house, like the house itself, and
house being lost. You know, really great sort of action piece. You know, first time we made Q, Moneypenny being a kick-ass field agent, and she being the one to shoot him.
Shot him, yeah.
You know, and she did really good there. Just like, you know, kind of like for us, like the quintessential Bond film. And you know, like you guys were absolutely right. It is an amazing film.
Yes.
And I can see why it won so many awards. It's sort of like the, you know, the pinnacle of like Daniel Craig as well as like the pinnacle of Bond for us. I feel.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you know, again, fires on all cylinders. It really doesn't have, because like other ones on our list or others we can think of we love or we like, but there maybe is not so, you know, like some parts fall short.
Yeah.
But then this one did really really well.
Ticked all the boxes, as they say. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So this is you know, the end of a very long chapter for us. You know.
Well, and I wonder if they're gonna, you know, talking about doing more Bond films. I mean, we heard who's it going to be, right? We heard Idris Elba. He would be awesome.
He would be so good.
Stupid people have screwed that up because he's not even going to try now with all the crap.
Fucking racist pieces of shit. Like just Idris Elba is such a good performer.
He would be such a good Bond. Yeah.
He's such a charming and handsome man, and he can bring like the sort of the weight in terms of like action and whatnot. Like he was like great as Krall or in Star Trek and whatnot, and he would have done really well.
I don't know who the other
I don't know
options are, or if there's even going to be another Bond, right? I don't know.
I'm fairly certain. I mean, like the Bond franchise is just it's like a juggernaut in terms of
Yes.
cinema. Like just like the character's been around forever.
Yeah, well, and it's because you can put new people in, right? It's not just one person.
Yeah, you can always just refresh it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then, you know, the question remains, are they, because like Daniel Craig died at the end of his run, so are they gonna like reboot the story again, or are they gonna maybe go with like, oh, like, you know,
Instead, whoever steps into the shoes,
someone becomes the new Bond, or is it like, I don't know what they're gonna, you know, do with it.
Well,
that
and they
way.
had a new 007, right, in the last one.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remembered after we saw that movie, the actress who played her was in Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah.
She was Captain Marvel's friend, that other pilot.
Yeah.
And then her daughter was Monica from WandaVision.
Right. Yeah.
But I can't remember that actress's name, but yeah, she was pretty kick-ass in her role.
Could be her. I mean,
I mean,
don't know, so we'll have to see, right?
But yeah, that is James Bond, ladies and gents. That is,
we made it through.
It's one hell of a journey.
Yeah.
It's been, like you said, much more of like we enjoyed this a lot more than we expected to.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
you know, just because like for pre-Daniel Craig, all I knew was stuff from Austin Powers, which was making fun of it, so I thought it would be goofy going in.
Yeah.
And some of it was, but some of it was actually really good.
Yeah.
And whatnot, you know, and just like a, you know, hell of a character, hell of a legacy, you know, lots of great stuff, lots of great elements, you know, definitely a lot of memorable films, some of which I'll probably watch in the future. I still listen to the soundtrack of some of these films.
I watched some of them again. Yeah,
some of these are really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, ladies and gents, for being on this epic journey of spies, of martinis, you know, with us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your bits of trivia, your stories of when you saw it in the theater as a kid,
telling us what your favorites were and why,
and you know, some of the behind the scenes stuff. It's always welcome. You know, just we're glad that we can kind of share our journey with you guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
And come into this world of yours.
Yeah.
But that's all we have for you guys. You know, next up, the good people over at Patreon have kind of voted for our next sort of series midweek reactions that we're going to do. We'll start unveiling those in the near future. And that's all we have for you today. So we will be seeing you next time. And we have been us. Flicks to us. See you guys later.
Bye, guys.